Peekskill, New York. One Saturday afternoon during the COVID-19 pandemic, 27-year-old Anthony Varela and his dad, who he nicknames Coach, are heading out to jet ski at the local Marina. Without warning, a local guy they have never seen before starts yelling at them, so Anthony starts recording.
Where's your mask? Put your mask on! I'll kick your ass! And I'm armed! Don't get out of your boat! Get out of the boat!
The man shouting from the shore is maskless himself, and masks are not even required outdoors, so Coach is riled up.
You doing? Bothering my ass. Come on, meet me over there. Come on, I'm gonna hit you 3 times in the face. You're not gonna see me. Punch you up. Now, come on. Come on. You and your mother too. Come on.
My mother?
Yeah.
At first, the son seems to think it's funny.
Coach.
But as Pops races to confront the angry neighbor, his son starts to panic.
Chill.
And then just as the neighbors square up, something surprising happens.
I don't want to talk politics, bro. You want to fight?
No.
Then get the out of here and leave me alone.
Well, don't make fun of me.
I'm not making fun of you, bro.
I wasn't making fun of you either.
All right, listen.
It seems that these two neighbors are more interested in making up than making trouble.
I was 18 years old. They drafted me to go in the army.
I went to Vietnam.
And I couldn't drink a beer and I couldn't vote. Ever since then, I don't give a
So, when it comes to good neighborly relations, it's often best to leave the politics at the door.
me over there. Come on, I'm gonna hit you 3 times in the face.
One of the cool things about owning your own home is the freedom to model it exactly how you choose and really show off your personal taste to your neighbors. And 30-year-old Australian hair colorist Mikey O'Halloran has a unique style.
I am very proud to be a gay man. I'm colorful 24/7. I literally am a walking pride flag, but pride is 365 days a year for me.
When Mikey buys his first home, a beach cottage in a quiet neighborhood 2 hours from the city of Melbourne, he starts to make it his own.
I am loving this blue.
But when some of his neighbors see what Mikey's doing with his fence, they don't appreciate the transformation.
The word got out through a tradesman to a neighbor next door and across the road that I planned on painting the outside of my house rainbow.
And things take a dark turn one night. A group of neighbors appear on Mikey's property uninvited.
There were 5 men standing in my backyard and it was pitch black.
And Mikey is so scared that he uses his phone to record one of the neighbors threatening him.
If you find that house that colour, I'll mate you again. It won't be so nice. I'm telling you.
I haven't met you.
I'm telling you. Don't paint your house.
That's not fair. I was just in a complete panic of shock.
See what happens, gay.
I was bullied in high school. I've been through all this and I'm in a really good place. This was 3 weeks after I moved into my new home and I was being absolutely ridiculed for what I planned on doing to my own house that I bought, which I have the right to paint whatever colour I want. It was one of the most traumatic experiences of my life.
Seeing red, Mikey decides to fight back, so he posts about the experience on social media.
2 days later, all these people reached out to me saying that people would love to come and help me paint my house.
And that's exactly what happens.
Planning how the front is gonna look. It started.
Around 50 neighbors pitch in to make his multicolored dream come true.
Just helping. My neighbors were really there for me and they really stood up for me. By coming to the house and picking up a paintbrush or even just showing up on the day just to show support and say hello and welcome to the neighborhood was so lovely.
And even law enforcement are lending a hand.
Love it. The deck comes to life. The rainbow house has become a reality.
Now that his house is perfect, Mikey presses charges against the 23-year-old neighbor who threatens him. And when the case comes to court, the neighbor is convicted of assault.
He had to pay a $2,500 fine to an LGBT charity. I hope that he has learned a valuable lesson. Accepting people is the way of the future. Live and let live.
The neighbor moves overseas, and Mikey hasn't seen him since. But Mikey's rainbow home has become a neighborhood landmark.
A lot of people stop by my house and take photos, and that's what this house is about. It's about spreading joy and making people happy, and that's my every intention of having a rainbow house, is to put smiles on people's faces.
At an apartment complex in Virginia, a door camera catches an irate neighbor ringing a woman's doorbell.
What you need?
Hey, you guys were doing something last night, right?
Yeah.
These two neighbors have never met, and the woman decides to keep her door closed.
I was just gonna say, you guys got last night, and normally I wouldn't make it a problem, but next time invite neighbor, dude. I want a party too.
Gotcha. I got a shot for you next time.
Word, I'm down here in apartment R. For real, feel free to come hit me up.
FOMO, or fear of missing out, is an anxiety nearly 70% of millennials suffer from. And apparently, neighbors can suffer from it too.
I'm sorry for being loud. I'll make sure next time.
I almost came over here, but I was like, I don't know any of these, so I might as well just. I wasn't gonna leave a note, but I was like, nah.
I got a shot for you next time.
Word, I'm gonna come back up here later. I'm gonna drop my info.
In Jacksonville, a sheriff's officer is frantically searching for two lost toddlers after a neighbor saw one of the kids fall into their apartment complex's pond. The officer sprints to the water's edge, but there's no sign of the caller or the child. Then she spots the concerned neighbor and huffs it in her direction.
Where's the baby? Where? Where? Where's he at?
One of the toddlers is safe on land, but to much of the officer's horror, the second one is underwater. Without hesitating, the officer and the toddler's babysitter jump into the pond. But as if this situation weren't terrifying enough, there's more danger at play, because this officer can't swim. The officer dives underwater with no concern of drowning herself. Desperately searching the murky waters, suddenly she bumps into the toddler's arm and quickly pulls him to the surface. She passes him to his babysitter, who is also in the water, and starts struggling back to shore herself. She makes it to shallow waters, but the crisis is far from over. A neighbor now has the child, but after being underwater for more than a minute, the little boy is completely motionless. After having just nearly drowned herself, the officer doesn't miss a beat and starts giving the toddler CPR. Finally, paramedics arrive and are able to take over the emergency.
Pop her back? Yes, I did.
The child is rushed to a nearby hospital where he is stabilized.
I'm getting.
The officer is later given honors from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office for her bravery, and the toddler goes on to make a full recovery, all thanks to the watchful eye of the neighbor who called for help, and this officer who puts herself in harm's way.
I'm getting him.
When your neighbor is Niagara Falls, water is your world. But nothing prepares local tow truck driver Joe Vieira for a stretch of unusual weather that hits his hometown.
The neighborhood that I live in is mixed with some rural and some suburban areas. Recently, we'd had a lot of rainfall in my area and then flash freezing, so it made the whole surrounding area basically just one giant swamp, if you will.
One day, Joe arrives at a neighbor's farm for a tow job, but it's not what he expects. The farmer's elderly Clydesdale, named Jackson, is stuck in the freezing mud. And if they can't free him soon, neighbors fear he might not make it.
I was in shock. I've never had to save a live animal before.
Hang in there, Jackson. We're gonna get you out.
We're estimating that around 3 a.m., 3:30, he became stuck in this muddy soup ice mixture. And with trying to extricate himself, he became exhausted. He was stuck there and shivering for 5-6 hours.
Come on, Jackson.
The neighbors are all exhausted from trying to help.
Joe needs to find a way to extract the 1,800-pound horse without harming it, and he needs to move fast before it succumbs to the elements.
The horse is obviously flesh, bones, has blood. I didn't want to damage it. You can't just hook it up like you would a truck to a hook. The horse is shaking, its gums were blue, its eyes were closing. There is the possibility this horse may pass away right in front of us.
Joe calls in a buggy that can maneuver in the muddy terrain, and he figures out what he hopes is a safe way to attach a rope to Jackson in the hopes that they can try to pull him free.
We devised a system with a soft rope to put it around the lower limbs of the animal.
It's an agonizing and slow process, and after hours of work, they manage to heave the almost 1-ton horse out of the mud and upright. The neighbors breathe a collective sigh of relief.
What a good boy. That was scary, eh?
Oh, for the love of God, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. That machine.
You are going to get a huge hug.
Oh, okay.
When you're done.
It's a hard thing to describe when you save a living, breathing life like that. It's just a real good, happy feeling.
According to Joe, this battle against the elements has a happy ending, and Jackson is thriving and healthy on the farm.
It feels really good just to help my neighbors. At the end of the rescue, the owner came up to me and she says, "What do I owe you?" And I said, "You don't owe me anything." She actually shed a tear, and then she gave me the biggest hug I've ever had in my life. But I got paid in a hug, and really that's all anybody could ask for.
The first snowfall of the year often brings chaos to neighborhoods. So after a 1-inch dusting in the suburban town of Spring Valley, New York, work-at-home dad Yuri Shinsky is alarmed by what he sees outside his home.
I remember that morning very clearly. I was with the baby in my living room with the shades drawn up. Oh my God. Saw a minivan really going a little bit too fast for the conditions, just slide off right into the edge of our front yard. I'm a little bit of that pain in the butt neighbor. I get upset when I see people speeding up and down our road. I get concerned for the safety of the children in the neighborhood because there are a lot of little kids around.
Underneath the snow, a sheet of black ice has formed, so now the minivan is stuck and causing a dangerous obstruction. But at least the emergency services are on their way.
As the truck was getting closer, I did hear the siren louder and louder, and I just can't really believe what I see next.
And then a serious accident when an emergency vehicle flips over right outside his house.
A lot of thoughts started going through my mind. Was the driver okay? Are they hurt? What happens with the vehicles that are still coming down the road? They might slide into this vehicle. It could really create a much more dangerous situation than it already is. I just know I need to get to that driver right away.
Within seconds, Yuri jumps into action, and realizing the driver may be trapped, he grabs a seatbelt cutter from his car and rushes to the vehicle.
I just have no idea what I'm gonna see, who I'm gonna see, if he or she is injured, if they're unconscious, if they're alive. I just don't know what to expect, so I gingerly open the back door. I find the driver kneeling on what is the roof of the vehicle, which is now the floor. The driver of the vehicle is a pretty tall guy, probably 6 foot plus. I don't know how I would have managed to get him out of there without any assistance.
It turns out that Yuri is not the only neighbor to witness the unfolding emergency.
Neighbor across the street, who was the second person on the scene. And this guy is unbelievable. He's barefoot and he's slipping and sliding all over the place, but he's out there really looking to just help out whoever needs help.
Thanks to the quick-thinking neighbors, the driver is rescued unharmed. And later, Yuri discovers that he is in fact the chief of the fire department.
He seemed like he was a little shaken up, but completely uninjured, and very fortunately so. So to be an everyday citizen and come to assist first responder is counterintuitive. It's usually the other way around. I was just trying to do the right thing.
The SUV is recovered, and Yuri realizes that the entire incident is captured on a security camera.
When I look back at the recording of this accident on my camera, seeing how everybody comes together, helping everybody out, and It really makes me feel good to live here and to be part of this neighborhood. Know that if I ever need help, that I can count on somebody to be very close by and quick to respond.
In Austin, Texas, a doorbell camera catches two women hurrying down their apartment building's hallway, only to stop quickly in their tracks. A scream comes from behind the neighbor's door. Then another, followed by sounds of struggle. One of the women rings the bell.
You okay in there?
No one answers back, and it's now completely silent inside. Until footsteps are heard approaching.
Is everything okay?
We're just playing fighting.
Turns out, the woman inside is screaming because she's being tickled by her boyfriend. Satisfied everyone's fine, the flustered neighbors walk off. And while this incident proves to be just a false alarm, it's good to know up front which neighbors have got your back. A crowd gathers in this Akron, Ohio neighborhood for the ultimate street race.
No, this is what we've been waiting for. This is what we've been waiting for.
Spectators line the street to watch these neighbors compete, and the runners approach the starting line.
Hold on. Are you good march? Hold on.
After a false start, one runner bows out, leaving just two to compete.
Wow. Are you good march? Good, set, go!
Though it's not a long race, it is a memorable one. And after the neighbors help them up, both women show they're all right.
That's for you, big man.
Just don't expect a rematch anytime soon.